do that. All right. Are you also going to lounge?
I'm actually trying to sit up here. This is me sitting up. And look, see the walking out the feet? I'm like James Brown walking the feet out. Fuck.
That's pretty mental. Might put that in just to show how bollocks you are.
Just speed it up a little bit. Yeah. Otherwise you lose guests. I'm just going to move my legs around, so if you lift up your legs.
Okay, time is on.
All right.
All right, introduce yourself.
Serpico Ninja, joint. Introduce yourself.
What have you done to get to this point? Like, it gives a very quick synopsis of who you are.
I climbed Everest twice, bareback, and then I fell off K2. On the way back down.
What happened last year in the summer? Before Badlands. We're going to do, this is a podcast mostly on Badlands, but starting from the 2 weeks before Badlands.
I think the 2 weeks before Badlands, I started struggling with just getting power into the pedals. So like on the bike, I've got a watt meter and it tells you how much pressure you're pushing on the pedal. So you can see what you're doing. So if you're kind of cruising along, you're doing about 250 watts, just cruising along. And I couldn't get up to 100, which is enough just to maintain the bike going, And I made it to into Marseille, which is about a kilometre away, is it?
2:45.
Yeah. And I don't think I'm going to be able to make Badlands because that was 800 kilometres with 16,000 metres of elevation off-road. So I was starting to think maybe I shouldn't do it. That's what I was thinking. And then I thought, well, I've signed up for it and I said I was going to do it, so I'm going to do it. So that was the week before. And then the week off I felt a bit better. I suppose you're getting the kind of nerves and stuff, And then when we got there, we had to hike a bike up those steps. I couldn't walk after that. That's where we were. And then I thought, well, fuck it, let me see if I can make it to the first village, because it starts off with a climb. I say starts off with a climb, it's a fucking 35 kilometre climb straight out off the bat. And then the first village is where there's something to eat, 61k. And so I thought, well, maybe I'll make it to that and then see how we go on. So that was the start of it.
2 weeks. When did you go to the doctor though? That was 2 weeks before.
No, it wasn't. I went to the doctor in July.
So it was like, what, 2 months before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because what happened was things were kind of getting worse, as in like if you think back, like I suppose I asked Ido for exercises maybe, I don't know, 6-7 years ago maybe, a long time. So I always had little twerks with it, but I just thought I was never that flexible in my hip. I just thought, the way people get strains and stuff like that. So I just thought it was that, and you're always banged up. So you always think it's something from training because you're always a little bit banged up. And then if I ran or if I did a session, I wouldn't sleep for a week with the pain. And then about July, I was contemplating going to get an x-ray, and then I just couldn't walk one day. I thought, fuck, I'll go and get an x-ray, see what it is. So that was the start of kind of seeing, going down the medical path, I suppose, which I was, adamant I wouldn't. I was like, man, I'm not getting surgery. So I went in to see this guy after he saw the x-rays, and then he wanted to do 2 full hip replacements and spinal surgery. Well, obviously not with him because he's not a spinal surgeon, but he wanted me to go see a spinal surgeon. So I went back out to take a ticket to go see the spinal surgeon. I thought, what the fuck am I doing here? And I just left. And that was a couple of months before Badlands. But at the time I rode my bike to the hospital and got off, walked in, didn't have a sticker or anything like that. So yeah, I was still doing stuff, still rolling, still doing everything, still riding the bike, still getting on with things. Maybe every now and then it'll be a bit banged up, but yeah, the kind of the week before was a little bit
nervous.
Not nervous. No, I was never nervous about it because not like I was never nervous about. The only thing I had the fear of was the dark. I suppose that was the only thing. I'd never ridden. I've ridden in the dark, yeah, but like in the middle of nowhere with a GPS and I knew there was no moon, so it was going to be pitch dark. So that was the first thing I checked. It was going to be like a new moon, so there was no lovely light of the moon, seeing shadows and shapes. So it was just going to be in the fucking pitch dark, and that was my biggest fear out of all of it, more than anything else. Just the way your mind plays tricks with you. If to be honest, that was the only fear, not of not finishing, or I don't really care. I've not finished enough races in my life not to be too upset about that. It's not really a race.
What was the longest race you ever did before?
Coast to coast, which was a race. So it was like Dublin to Galway the first day, Galway to Dublin the second day. But it was like a proper race. It wasn't like sportif, as the French call it, where it's just a bunch of Freds, a bunch of guys that aren't very good, just ride these races. Like even the classic that was on Bianca Strava, I think it's called, that was on last week with all the gravel sections. That's now the kind of new classic. Like 3,000 Freds rode that. This not only half the course, you know, and they pay like a shed load of money to do that now. So that's the kind of thing.
What's a Fred?
Fred is a guy who, well, we used to have him when they were racing. So I'd kind of changed the terminology. Fred is now, when I raced, the Fred was a guy, there's like a lot of rules in cycling and etiquette as such. Like you shave your legs, you wear short socks, you have a certain look to kind of maintain the way you ride your bike. And it's very established. And you get a guy that comes along, doesn't shave his legs, wears a pair of underwear under his shorts, does things that you shouldn't do. That's a Fred, and usually really bad on a bike. So don't have him in front of you in a bunch, because he's probably going to fall off and take you down. So where Fred now is just every dude that doesn't race, that has a 20 grand bike, you know, pretty much. They don't understand really the nuances of what cycling is, because it's not really that hard. They just go out for a spin. They have these kind of spins. They meet up. They wait for each other. Like I remember going out for winter spins in Tala when I was like 15, and you'd have like 60 people would meet up in Tala. So that'd be grown ass men down to like schoolboys. I was a schoolboy under 16, and we'd just go up the embankment, which was like a 10k climb, 8k climb, just a steady climb. And they would just put the hammer down, and we'd be out for like 5 hours or 4 hours. They put the hammer down from the get-go and blast the thing apart. It wouldn't wait on anybody. That was it. And you'd get stuck on your own in the middle of nowhere in the freezing cold. And that was it. It kind of toughened you up a little bit. Now it's kind of, people have like social spins, and I get it. It's great. Get out, enjoy the bike, ride the bike. But I just rode the bike when it was hard, and in that it builds character. So the likes of Badlands, and actually Aidan Duff was saying the same thing. They just don't know how to suffer. And you kind of don't forget that. You do, but it comes back pretty fast, you know. And you can just sit in the saddle and suffer, you know. But not as hard. It's not, I mean, I think I had this thing about ultras. I never wanted to do one. I just thought they were for shit athletes and junkies, or ex-junkies. And then I pretty much realised I'm a shit athlete and an ex-junkie. But there's another aspect to it as well.
I'm doing an ultra.
Doing an ultra. There's another aspect to it as well. There's a certain spiritual sense that I didn't expect that you get with it, especially if you spend a lot of time on your own. Now, granted, you were there, but I spent a lot of my time on my own during the day on the ride, because like there was 400 people started, and first day you with everybody all day. Second day you were less, and then third day you pretty much might meet one or two people along the way, but it's always the same kind of people. And in that solitude of that kind of like rhythm that you get into, and those kind of long 20, 30 kilometer climbs, there's something in it that I suppose people get it doing breath work, or because you're kind of at that level of breathing, you know, you're just in that steady rhythm for 30 minutes and 40 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, or whatever it is. And in that you get these kind of little moments of clarity, I suppose, that you'd find, I think you'd find it very, very hard to get that if you ran a Dublin City Marathon, because you're never on your own. There's a crowd the whole way around. Okay, you might have achieved something, you ran something in 4 hours or whatever the fuck, but it's not the same thing. And the fact that you're on your own, and the fact that you kind of in the back of your head, if something breaks on the bike, or if you fall off, or you run out of water, or your GPS fails, and all the answers to all the questions are figure it out. You know, that's always in the back of your head a little bit. Not too much, but when shit starts to go a little bit pear-shaped, you start to think like, fuck, I'm on my own here, which is great. And I've already been planning other ones that are a little bit more challenging, but not, because there's different types. There's like super ultra ones, and there's ones that are even more extreme, and then there's ones that are more extreme again, weather-wise. I liked it because it was hot. I don't think I'd like it if it was cold. So I draw the limits on the colds I've had. Did I tell you about the experience I had getting stuck up in the mountains and in the cold when I was 16 with Paul O'Keefe today?
No.
We went out for a bike. I was 16, you know, so we were out with the big group that we went out in the winter for the winter spins. You go out with like 40, 50, 60 guys. We bumped into this other club. And in the winter time, everyone's getting ready for the season, which is in March. And you hear these rumours about who's motoring, who's not motoring. You know, we're in the grapevine. And then we bumped into these guys who are really, really good. So these would have been seniors. And a couple of them would have been pros. All of a sudden the pace goes up. We're in a place called Lara. And we'd done 60 miles, so about like 90 kilometres. And it was still another 50 to go. And it was starting to get the pace was starting to get hotting up, and I didn't fancy riding the last 50 k's after blowing a gasket on my own. So Paul O'Keefe had this great idea to go over Sally's Gap. It's in the Wicklow Mountains in January. It was a lovely sunny day. And at the time, hydration and food was not really as much as it is now. So I only ever had one bottle, which would have been a small bottle with just water in it, and then maybe a bar of chocolate. That's it. And you're out for a 5-hour ride. And we started to ride up this climb, and it's just me and him, and we hit some ice. So we rode over it, then another bit of ice, then another bit of ice. Then all of a sudden we were walking, and then we were back on the bike, then we're walking. Then we're walking a kilometre. Then we're walking 2 kilometres, then we're walking. And all of a sudden you look around and everything was white. And you can't quite see the top. And we just walked and walked and walked for about 2 hours. And I got to the stage where I got so cold, I sat down to have a sleep. And we had no overshoes, no gloves, freezing cold. And no cars going by, no mobile phones. And we got to the top and rode down, and I got in at like it was getting dark. And his parents didn't even question where the fuck he was, like why we're all freaked out. But it was like really, really close to dying, you know? But like I don't like that extreme cold. It's too easy to sit down and fall asleep and get frostbite, you know. I don't really. Out of all the times I've been in extreme rides where it's been cold and you get into the back of a van after packing and you're soaking wet and you're freezing cold and you can't pull the brakes and you're pissed on your hands to warm them up and you can't take your clothes off because you just can't feel it. And I never got any benefit from any of that. So if I was ever going to do an ultra, I wouldn't be into ones that are, you know, extremely cold at night and extremely hot during the day. Just pick a temperature and stick with that, you know. So that's there's a couple of other challenges I'd like to do. So, but the ones I've seen are like the Atlas Mountains one, like they can go fuck itself.
Let's talk about Badlands a little bit.
Yeah.
More. So, what did you learn from Badlands?
I learned that I still have it.
You were scared that you didn't?
You always are.
Because you've lost the ability to walk now.
Yeah.
And I remember one of the things that I remember seeing you at the beginning.
Yeah.
You were embarrassed to come in here.
Yeah.
And for the lads to see you. And I remember I was filming for the MMA course that we've got going on.
Yeah.
And you didn't even like looking at yourself on film, and you didn't even see the content that we were creating. All you were looking at was your movement and your movement.
Yeah, because I pride myself on how I move.
And then it was just...
But I wasn't even limping then. I just couldn't get into positions that I wanted to get into. Like the positions started to get less. Like the squat started to get less. the way I was able to move got less. And I always pride myself on being fluid in the positions and being able to move well. I always wanted it to be beautiful. It's got to be art. So like my expression of martial arts is firstly the artistry of it, the artistry of moving where it's beautiful. And that was kind of drilled into us from McCarthy. So when it started to look like dog shit instead of art, I was embarrassed that that's what it's producing. No one else is really seeing that, only me.
No, none of
Because I'm critical. But then I didn't even want to show that.
Yeah.
To a stage where like I sit my ass and teach a class now. And that's just a case of just like those days are a long way behind me where I could move a certain way. And then eventually I get to the stage where I can't walk. So
you can still walk in Badlands though, right?
yeah, I can still walk in Badlands.
Just
about, yeah. But I had one magical day in Badlands where I just like rode, like I was putting out magic watts, like flying. And that was special. I really enjoyed that effortlessness. Sometimes you get these days where you pull up outside the nightclub and there's a spot right outside, you know. Everything just goes your way, you know.
Which day was that?
The third day. First day was great because it's fun. You're meeting all these new people and you're just getting dragged along by the buzz. Second day, I already started with a saddle sore. That was bad. And the second day was just painful all day. And it was a little bit trippy because I'd ridden till 5 a.m. the first day. And I kept seeing the light that I was looking at that night all day. So everywhere I looked like a flash lamp was a little bit like that. And it was a very draining, draggy day. And I was told there was like a 60-kilometre descent that there wasn't. Maybe there was the year. I was looking for the 60-kilometre descent. They said, oh, it's just up here. And then it never went down. You know, there was one little descent that was magical, but it was like, yeah. And then just got down and I was like, oh, fuck this, you know, no batteries, no nothing. So the third day was just magical. Just the sun coming up, you dropped me off back up to where we started, and I just got lost in this. It was a little village, and it was meant to descend down to the sea, and it was 100 kilometers down to the sea, but it wasn't that at all. It was keep going up, and it was just the sun coming up through this like epic looking. It was just epic on what the word really actually means. That you feel like this size in the greater sphere of things, which is. You don't get lost in your small little bullshit, you know. There's no time for it. You're too insignificant. And then your little feelings about how you feel and your little legs and that's complete. Your whole person's insignificant in the vastness of the belly. That's what it felt like. Like it felt like I've never been so connected with the earth, even though I'm on a bike. But it was just deep on this gravel road. You're just away from life, you know, and not life, but modern life, roads and cars and houses, and you just come across this other realm, you know, and I found it magical, really like pure magical, you know, and the way the landscape changed, and it was just it was really, really. I got it. I got why people do them, you know.
You're the last one to finish, right?
Last one to finish, yeah. And that was weird because like I knew it was all downhill from the thing, and I like. We kind of underestimated how far I had to go. Well, it was like 60k, but it was like 2 fucking 20-kilometre climbs in the 60k, and I got lost, and I just went full gas, and I was like, it was like a time trial. Took all the bags off the bike and just fucking left them with you, and just fucking went as hard as I could, and I was talking to the wind to push me up the hill, and kept pushing me up the hill, and everything was in my favour, and then I got to the top of the thing, and I was expecting it to go down. And it didn't. It just kept going up. And I was screaming at the top of my voice to the guys because, like, I think, you know, like, I was not gonna not fail, you know, because like you'd put so much into it, and it was kind of like I wasn't gonna let you down or myself down to get it. And like I said to myself, I'm gonna die here, or I'm gonna get inside. And that was and I meant that. I just made that decision, and I just went as hard as I could. And then my neck failed, so my neck started falling down because it failed a few days before. But with the adrenaline at the start, it stayed in place, and then I had to like ride with my hand up, and finally the last 2 kilometers or something was downhill, and I just like went as fast as I fucking could, sitting on the crossbar. And then when I went past, I couldn't find the finish line, and then when they're there, I expect them to come out with the medal because the guys are there, and people were clapping and shit. And
I'd seen already. I was like, oh no, he's 2 minutes over.
but I knew I was inside. I was like I'm 4 seconds in. That's what I thought. 4 seconds in, and they were like,
It's like, oh, it's finished.
I was over the time limit. 2 minutes or some shit, I don't know, and he's no medal for me. And then he went back in, they checked, they started late by 4 minutes, so I kind of got it, you know.
No, yeah, they started late. Yeah, whatever they started, you literally got in. Like,
Yeah,
with
a few seconds.
spare or something.
Yeah, and it was like so emotional.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that. But the thing about that was like, it was such like, it wouldn't have, if I hadn't have pushed it that hard in the last day, I wouldn't have felt like that, you know. If I just kind of cruised in on like everybody else, oh, finished great, got my medal, have a few beers, high five everybody. But it was just like I made a conscious decision to like, this isn't getting away from me today, and it was nice to be able to do that, like decide that I'm going to get this or I'm going to die trying, and mean it, not like half mean it. You know, like if I drop dead on the last climb, I'm good with that. But that's why I decided to make that decision, and
Is
even.
that what you mean by? It was nice to know that I still have it.
Yeah, that I can do that. Can I push myself into to dying, for want of something? Yeah, I can, and not many people can. And you might say, for what? For what little fucking? No, it's not about that. It's like, can I bury myself and just turn off everything and just go like, stop the noise of the screaming pain and the lungs and the. You know, because my hips weren't hurting me, it was everything else was hurting me, you know, because you're like fucking, you're on the rivet, you know. But to be able to do that, and then get the fastest last 50 kilometers time ever, I think they were a little bit taken back by it. But I was like, it was brilliant. It was like a magical end to just something that I'd kind of had in my head for a year or two, you know, and to do it, and then that you were part of it, because it didn't really start off like that, you know, and then you got really involved in it as well. Because, well, yeah, but like to see that, like,
The first time when I realized that they had like you weren't going to find good food anywhere, I was like, okay, no,
Yeah.
to fucking jump in on this.
I think if I'd have done it again, I would have started further up.
Yeah, and then bunch.
Because you don't gain any time going up, but you don't really go backwards either. Everyone goes at the same pace, and by the time you get in and there's like 300 people ahead of you and all the food's fucking gone because it's a little village in Spain. Yeah. And then it's just...
Not even water. I remember one
shit bread.
And she's like, sorry,
yeah,
we've only got beer left.
Yeah.
Oh
well, beer it is then. But it's just... It's just that, whereas like, if I did it again, I'd start up near the front.
Yeah.
And then just like fucking... I wouldn't have any water in my bottles on for the first climb. I wouldn't carry 6 litres, 6K in my bike. I just have one bottle, and that's a smart move.
Yeah.
And just because it's like you're climbing for like 6 hours or some shit, like, you know.
Yeah, I started.
Just fucking, I just need one bottle. Give me one bottle, and I fucking fill them up at the top, so they carry another 6 kilos, because it makes all the difference, you know. Yeah. And then after that, it was just it was like a proper team effort, like.
You started off with a lot of gear.
Well, I'm an overpacker. I get bag envy. I see someone with a like.
Do a time lapse of the astro of the stars. We're gonna take portraits of everybody.
Everybody.
You're gonna bring a walking stick. You're gonna bring this, that. All my camping gear.
Everything. And then I had nothing in the bag of the last thing. Just fucked it all off. Need to go fast. But I think I'd still do it again. You know, like it's the same like going anywhere on holidays, isn't it? We just go somewhere and it's like, I'm just gonna bring the one change of clothes. And it's 20 kilos, isn't it? Just can't help it. But I see. It goes back to that kid that stayed in the gaff next door to me when I was a kid. You know. You know that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like when someone asks me, did I have something? I take pride in the fact that you have 2 of them. You know. You know, Joe Hennessy doing a security job, falling into the muck in his suit, and the guys are coming in, goes back to the car, press the button, thing opens, another suit, puts it on. You know, it's just that backup.
Yeah.
And I have a problem with bringing backup of shit. You know, in case that goes, we've backup, and it's backup for backup, and backup to someone that's with me that needs backup. Like I brought 3 inhalers to fucking China. I don't even have asthma. But everyone else got asthma because I knew the air was bad. You know, so it's kind of stuff like that, which is kind of like, I don't mind it, you know, but it's sometimes, I don't know how, I see some of the bikes and the shit that they bring with them, and they just bring no change of shorts, a gilet, and a couple of fucking gels. And like, that's not me. Never is going to be me.
If you were to prepare yourself again for Badlands, what would you do differently?
I'd be able to walk, would be one.
Well, okay, we'll talk about that. We're 7 months after that. Badlands was pretty much the last time you were proper on the bike. Since then, you've now you can't really even stand up on your own.
No.
Never mind walk or take a step.
No.
You're like full on crutches.
Yeah.
It's it doesn't get better. You don't go to bed and then in the morning wake up and like, oh, I'm better.
Yeah.
It's been pretty.
It's a proper death process.
Proper.
Yeah. It's like dying. I'd say I'd put it down to dying, because usually when you're banged up and injured, it hits a plateau and then starts to you get better, right? Whereas this is like, and then you're like, okay, I'm okay here, and then okay here, and then it's like, okay, hit the fucking panic button. I need assistance, because it's kind of like simple things like I'm a fall risk now, you know, like going up and down stairs on crutches, or even in, you can see how tricky it is in escalators. Because usually you don't
now I go behind you. So
yeah, because when you get on the escalator, you put your hand on the escalator and it pulls you on, right? But when you try to get on without putting your hand on your here, it fucks with you, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, even you see the underground in England, how tricky that was.
Yeah.
Like it's tricky, you know?
Getting space or looking for a seat or
and then people are very different to you. Some people help, some people don't help. Some people get in your way, some people don't get out of your way. And I suppose it's just they don't understand what it is. But I wouldn't have understood what it is. It's like the first time I was in a fucking Arctic vehicle. I realised this guy can't stop it at all. You know, and plus he can't see anything either side of him. So like, now I give them a lot more berth, you know. Because before I'd be up the inside and all, like, he can't even see you, let's go straight over you. Yeah. So it's one of those ones where like, it's been an incredible experience because there's light at the end of the tunnel. But I wouldn't fancy it for the rest of my life. Whereas there's a kind of like, there's a window of opportunity that's going to arise, and where I can, you know, hopefully get back to what I was doing, what they say is 5 years ago. And I look forward to that. But in the meantime, I don't think too much about it. In the meantime, I just deal with the daily. Some days I'm a little bit worse than others. Today I'm a bit banged up. It's pretty sore, but I just did a good bit of swimming. So I have a very little amount that I can do, and then I'm paying for it. And then trying to get some sleep in the afternoon, because I don't get that much sleep at night. And just making up for that, and just don't fall apart too much, you know.
What have you learned? What has it taught you that you didn't expect?
I'm able to deal with it, you know. And I'd rather have a shit body and a good head rather than a shit head and a good body, because I've had both, and this is a lot easier. There's nothing worse than having demons in your head, because they don't go anywhere, and being in the best shape of your life, and you're just afraid to go outside the door. You know, afraid of everything, just in fear of everything. Just fear. That is a lot worse. Or people with depression, or proper depression. It's like fucking mental health bullshit, but properly depressed, or properly having some sort of issue psychologically, where fear has kind of crept in, and it drives you, you know, because that is a lot worse than the physical. And I think that made me stronger mentally, where I think a lot of people in my boat would be cracking up at this stage.
Oh, for sure.
You know,
sure. Which is kind of like looking to ask you, what is it that allows you to deal with it?
Not crack up.
Yeah.
Trauma that I had mentally years ago.
From the acid.
Yeah. So I had a drug period in life, kind of like you get this identity crisis when you identify as something, and then you don't do it anymore. So you've had a lot of identities, right? You've been all sorts of horse rider, yeah. But you know, so like for instance, like one stage I was painting people's houses. I was a painter and decorator. Painter. Yeah, I'm in your gaff 2 weeks. My name's Colin. You know, another time, and I had all these, like, even then I had all these outfits and uniforms, fancy dress things that I used to have, and different friends that would, different friends that would fit into that identity that I would have at that particular time. So I had my clothes for being a painter, so that was me. And then I had my cycling clothes for being a cyclist. Then I had my raving clothes, or before the raving clothes, I had like my going out clothes for my style, and then I had different friends that would fit into each of those little brackets that never would mix, so, and then obviously I decided I wanted to ride the Tour de France, and that didn't happen, and for a few reasons, it wasn't good enough. That's the main reason, and that's hard to admit to yourself when you're 22, that you're just not good enough. No matter what you do, it's not going to be enough. Especially when you're that young, because you don't see life as you just see life as now. You don't see life as like, I mean, a 40-year-old when I was 22, I just thought they're fucking ancient. I'm never going to be 40. What the fuck's that all about? Couldn't comprehend that, As you get older, you start to realise what life's about more so than then. And it's very different. And then when I stopped racing, I didn't know who I was, because those clothes then didn't fit, and I'd no other clothes to go out. And then I found ecstasy. I started the rave generation, so I started going to raves and found an identity with a bunch of people that were into the same thing, that was like hugely connected, and loved it. And then started falling apart, like as in people were moving on, like maybe had enough, or maybe they went in too deep, or started to see the dark side of recreational drugs. Whereas at the start, you don't see any dark. I never saw someone that took 2 pills because they were so strong, and then I saw someone that took 2 pills, and then you go out, and then you're out one night and people are doing cocaine, and then you're out another night and then people are doing heroin, and then the guy that sells you ecstasy is also selling the heroin, and then it just becomes a little bit darker, and then you meet the criminal aspect of it, and it just becomes not that thing that you started off with, And people started kind of jumping out, and the little group that we had started to fall apart. So I just started taking more and more drugs, and I took too much drugs one night, and then finished it off with 6 a.m. decided to take a load of acid, and just broke my mind, and had a really bad trip, and then came out of it, and then about a week later kicked back in again when I was in work, and lasted about 7 years. And that was the kind of short version of it. So all I had in my life then at that stage was fear, constant, afraid to do anything, leave the house, leave the sitting room. No short-term memory, you used to have to write down everything. So if I went into the bathroom, I couldn't remember how I got to the bathroom, even though it's just in the next door. Or the same way when you're on acid, it's hard to open a door. You're like, there's a door, just open it. Simple things become very difficult. Throw some fear on top of that. Now you're panicking because you can't open the door. I couldn't look in the mirror because I'm not looking at me. I'm looking at some freaked out looking dude that I don't recognize. So a lot of that for years and years and years, and couldn't go anywhere, and then I realized what it was. And it was, when you realize what it was, it took me a long time, and what it really is just the control. The fear, you're just afraid to give up control. And when I figured that out, it just went away. And I found myself bulletproof after that mentally, as in, it's very hard to give me a fright, Could be walking down a dark street with headphones on, someone jumps out and goes boom, nothing happens. That's also a little bit dulling in your emotions as well. So it made me very, very, I didn't go up and I didn't go down, I just stayed. Couldn't go up, I couldn't go down. So I couldn't touch any drugs. I could have a beer, but that was bad. I couldn't touch a coffee, it made me a little bit fucking sketchy, So I think that it was one of the best things that happened to me, even though it was a nice thing. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. I would have killed myself only for I was afraid of what was on the other side. At least I knew what I was dealing with. It was kind of like it was a very interesting time. And I went to psychics. I went to fucking all sorts of people. I ended up in a shrink's office, and it brought me to a lot of things. It brought me to Chinese medicine. I started studying Chinese medicine. Then it got me into martial arts, and then I ended up doing martial arts. And in a way, it got me into dealing with something else that was, now I'm dealing with emotional fear, and then the fear of fighting as well on top of it, you know. So kind of, and then working on a door, even though I was still having those kind of freak outs, I started working doors then before I was completely clear. So it would come in waves, and I just had to keep it together. So I think that's really what made my head strong. So like I say, I think if I hadn't had all this and I'm not walking, I'm on crutches for like 3 months now, I think I would have cracked up by now. Or would have ended up like, I don't know what the fuck, feeling sorry for myself, not getting out of bed or not doing anything. And well, like I have moments, I do have moments, but that's you're human. But realistically, I think that's what's made me look at the world a little bit differently. And but also I know there's an out at the end, which is kind of like, that's the main thing, I suppose. Well, it's not the out I wanted, but you can have everything you want.
Not everything I want.
Anything you want, but not everything you want, right? So,
and trust that you will always get what you need.
Yeah. And so it's a surgery. So which I am. See, did I tell you why? No, I never want surgery. Did you?
No.
Did I ever discuss that with you? Did I?
Not directly. Like we've discussed it. Obviously.
Yeah. Well, it was like I never wanted surgery because it's like what I come in with is what I go out with. That's kind of my philosophy. But like, eventually you change your mind about things, and that's one thing I've learned about this. It's kind of like I've said, if I had cancer, I wouldn't get chemo. But I don't have cancer. It's easy for me to say that. That might change if I got it. If, say, it was like something small, like testicular cancer, do some chemo, get your balls cut off, and you're fucking good. No. I'm going to take some fucking herbal stuff because he said it was good. And like your man from Apple, you know, most simplest thing to fucking treat and you died. So for me, it's kind of like, I went down the kind of like trying to fix it every other way. I didn't get any success with that, and then eventually I decided, okay, I better do some research on different aspects, and which was good because if I hadn't have, I would have gone with the first surgeon that I met, and we've been to see 3 now, and they all had like, well, the first 2 had the same, first and last guy had the same opinion, and the middle guy had a very different opinion, which gave me a little bit of hope, but I kind of knew he was wrong anyway. But now it's a case of like, I think I'm doing the right thing, which is on a lot of levels. But it was something that I didn't want to do. But sometimes that's just the cards you're dealt, you know. So just get on with it and get your head around it and be a little bit more flexible in how you think. I think that's really, really it. Like you gotta ebb and flow rather than just be stuck in your dogmatic belief systems of like, oh well, it's just natural, it's just me, I don't want bits chopped off me, and you know, like fuck all that, it's all going to fall apart anyway. So and we're at a stage where there's a new technology out that's really a one and done job, and if he does it right, I can run ultra distant running races in the year, you know. I'll be off to 6 in 3 weeks, and I'll be able to just do normal shit again. You like, you know, wash the mats. Yeah, like throw you over my shoulder, you know, like simple shit, like you know,
Become my training partner.
become a training partner, because like you need a good training partner and a good training partner. So like just that help you along the way. You know, I would like it to be a bit quicker, but it's just where we're at. Because time's pretty much a huge thing in this. But you know, all good things will come. You know, so I'm optimistic. You know, and you know, I'm more towards that side than the harder stuff's behind me. You know, so now it's a case of just get fixed, get better, and do the shit, because that's the shit that keeps your head straight. You know, like if what keeps my head straight is not medication, it's exercise and blowing off the steam.
I say ecstasy.
Ecstasy as well, but plus a bit of MDMA every Sunday. But it's just like, it's just that, you know, it's just, and then, you know, just blowing off the steam with doing stuff you like to do, and it levels you off. Like, you know, the most non-aggressive guys are MMA guys. You beat the shit out of each other all day. What do you want to fucking get in a fight later on for? But it's people with these pent up emotions and aggressions that they never let out. They let them out on random fucking people that cut them off in a car, fucking traffic jam, you know? Yeah. So yeah, I'm optimistic, you know.
Should be.
Well, I am. And plus, like, you've been great. So, you know,
Full-time comedian.
full-time comedian, full-time helper. You know, like, I was just thinking yesterday, like, if I was in a bed sit, I'd manage. I'd just have Uber Eats and the place be a pigsty. But
I don't
But
know. Like,
it'd be a shithole. Yeah, I'd manage.
now it's fucking, like, you'd have no...
I'd be a pigsty.
You'd be
It'd be a pigsty. Yeah, no. Uber Eats be coming and 4-star pizza. It'd be a fat cunt, right? But, you know, having the gym, not a hope. Not a hope.